Anna sat near the window of the cafe, her hands folded tightly on her lap. The rain tapped gently on the glass, and the streetlights outside painted golden reflections across the floor. She had agreed to a blind date, arranged by a friend, though her heart was unsure. She was not used to such places. The cafe was modest, yet for Anna it still felt expensive. She looked at the menu, nervous about ordering anything too costly. Coffee here cost more than what she usually spent on a meal, but she wanted to look normal, not poor. Her life had never been easy. She lived in a small rented room, worked long hours in a local shop, and saved every coin she could. Love had never been her priority, but loneliness sometimes whispered louder than reason. Tonight, she had decided to give it a chance. She glanced around, scanning faces. She didn't know who she was waiting for. She had only been told, "He'll be kind, someone who will treat you well." That was all. Minutes passed. Her heart beat faster as she saw a man enter, tall, dressed in a simple shirt, nothing flashy. He didn't look like the confident type she had imagined. He carried himself quietly, as though he wanted no one to notice. Anna thought he might be the one, though she was not certain. He looked around, searching. By mistake, Anna lifted her hand slightly, thinking it was him. Their eyes met, and he smiled, gentle and unsure, almost as nervous as she felt. Without hesitation, he walked over and sat down across from her. Anna froze. Had she chosen the wrong table? She did not know. But his smile was kind, and in that moment she lacked the courage to correct herself. The man introduced himself softly. "I'm Daniel." The way he said it was calm, without pressure. Anna returned her name quietly, and for a brief moment, the world outside blurred away. She felt a mix of relief and fear. Relief, because she was not alone. Fear, because she wondered if she had made a mistake. But she stayed. Something about his presence felt safe. That evening began not with certainty, but with a small accident, one that neither of them tried to fix. Anna lifted the cup to her lips, more for comfort than thirst. The warmth of the coffee calmed her trembling hands. She didn't know how to begin, so she looked at the table instead of Daniel's eyes. Daniel noticed her silence but didn't rush. He stirred his coffee slowly, then smiled. "Do you come here often?" His voice was gentle, not demanding. Anna shook her head. "No, first time." Her words were short, but her tone was honest. She wanted to say more, yet she worried her life might sound too plain. What could she possibly share that would hold a stranger's interest? Daniel nodded. "I don't come often either. I like quiet places." His reply gave her some ease. He was not pushing her into conversation, only giving her space. Anna placed her cup back on the saucer. "It is quiet here," she whispered. "Feels safe." That was the first time Daniel saw her lift her eyes to his. There was a softness in them, uncertain but kind. He leaned back slightly, letting her know she did not need to force anything. Minutes passed with small exchanges. They spoke about the weather, the rain, the way the cafe smelled of fresh bread. Simple words, nothing deep, yet each sentence felt like a small bridge built between them. Anna noticed how Daniel listened. Most people she had met spoke quickly, eager to be heard. He was different. He waited, he nodded, he made her feel that even her quiet voice mattered. "You seem nervous," Daniel said at one point, smiling lightly. Anna lowered her gaze. "Maybe I'm not used to this." "Neither am I," he admitted. "But I think it's easier when both are nervous." That made her smile faintly, the first real smile of the evening. It surprised her, how quickly his words could soften the edge of her shyness. The waiter brought the pastries. Anna hesitated, then took a small bite. The taste was sweet, richer than what she usually bought. She wondered if Daniel could see her hesitation, if he guessed that she was not from the kind of life where cafe treats were normal. Daniel noticed her careful way of eating, but said nothing. He only smiled again, though telling her she didn't need to pretend. Slowly, the air around them changed. What began as awkward silence was now gentle rhythm, two voices finding their pace. They spoke of favorite foods, of the small routines in their days. Anna admitted she liked simple things, like walking to work early when the streets were still empty. Daniel shared that he liked to read late at night when the world was quiet. Their lives were different, yet in those small details they found something shared. A love for silence, for little moments unnoticed by others. For Anna, this felt strange but comforting. She had come expecting disappointment, perhaps even rejection. Instead, she felt seen. For Daniel, it was not her clothes or her shy manner that caught him, but her quiet honesty, unpolished and real. As the rain tapped harder against the window, Anna realized she had forgotten her nerves. She was no longer counting minutes. She was simply there, sharing a table with someone who listened, and that was enough. The evening moved gently, like the rain outside, steady but unhurried. Anna felt herself growing more open, though her words still came carefully. She was not used to sharing her life with strangers, but something about Daniel's presence made silence feel heavier than speech. She sighed softly and said, "I don't really go out much. Most of my time is work and sleep." Daniel tilted his head. "What kind of work?" Her fingers tightened slightly around the cup. She hesitated, then answered, "At a small shop. I help with stocking and the counter. Long hours, but it pays my rent." Her voice lowered at the last part. She did not want pity, nor did she want to sound as though she was complaining. She had learned to live with little, and she accepted it. Still, telling it aloud made her feel exposed. Daniel didn't interrupt. He only nodded slowly, his eyes steady on her, not with judgment, but with patience. "That sounds tiring." Anna looked at him quickly, surprised. Most people dismissed her words with advice or empty encouragement. His simple reply, spoken without condescension, made her feel understood. "It is," she admitted softly. "But I don't have many choices. I try to save when I can. Maybe one day I'll be able to do more." Daniel smiled faintly. "That's honest. It's not easy to say things like that." Anna gave a small shrug. "I don't hide it. Life is what it is." For the first time, Daniel leaned closer, his voice lower. "I respect that. Not many people are that straightforward." Anna felt warmth rise in her chest, though she kept her gaze lowered. She was not sure why his words mattered, but they did. She then asked carefully, "And you? What about your work?" Daniel paused for a moment. His answer came measured. "I'm involved in different projects. Some business, some investments." It was true, yet he spoke as though it was nothing remarkable. His tone gave no clue of the weight behind his words. To Anna, it sounded distant, something far from her world. She nodded politely, not asking further, afraid of sounding ignorant. Silence rested between them, not uncomfortable but thoughtful. Anna glanced out the window. The rain had softened into mist. She whispered almost to herself, "Sometimes I wonder if life ever changes. If it will always be the same every day." Daniel heard her. His gaze softened. "I think life changes when we least expect it. Sometimes in the smallest ways." Their eyes met then, holding longer than before. Anna felt her breath catch. His words carried weight she couldn't quite name. She looked away quickly, embarrassed. Yet inside something stirred. She realized she was telling a stranger things she had never spoken to her closest friends. The clock above the counter ticked steadily. The cafe had grown quieter, fewer customers now. Their table felt like its own small world, untouched by noise. Anna's heart whispered that she was making a mistake, revealing too much. But another voice inside, softer yet stronger, told her it was safe. Safe, because Daniel listened without judgment. Safe, because for the first time in years, she didn't feel invisible. The evening was no longer just a blind date. It was becoming something else, something neither of them had planned. The evening had grown late, but neither Anna nor Daniel noticed. The cafe's lights glowed softer now, the chatter around them fading as customers left one by one. The sound of rain against the glass became their quiet background music. Anna had been speaking about small details of her childhood, about walking barefoot in fields after rain, and about how she and her younger brother used to chase paper boats along the roadside streams. Her eyes brightened as she spoke, though her voice remained gentle. Daniel leaned forward, his chin resting lightly on his hand, listening with a faint smile. "You sound like you miss those days." "I do," Anna admitted. "Back then I didn't think about money or rent or work. I only thought about simple joys. Now everything is different," Daniel nodded thoughtfully. "Sometimes the small memories stay with us longer than the big ones. They remind us who we are." Anna blinked at him, a little surprised by his words. She had expected polite replies, not reflections that touched her heart. She found herself smiling without meaning to. Daniel's own lips curved into a smile when he saw hers. For the first time, the distance between them felt lighter. "You know," Anna said carefully, "I thought tonight would be awkward. I thought I wouldn't know what to say." Daniel chuckled softly. "I thought the same, but I'm glad I came." Anna lowered her eyes, embarrassed. The warmth spread through her chest. She didn't remember the last time someone had said something so simple yet meaningful to her. Moments later, Daniel shared something of his own. "I wasn't always good at meeting people. I tend to keep to myself. Most think I'm too quiet. But I don't mind. I'd rather listen than talk." Anna looked at him curiously. "You don't seem uncomfortable." "Not with you," he answered. The words hung in the air. Anna felt her cheeks warm, and she quickly sipped her coffee to hide it. Yet inside, she felt a new lightness. Their laughter came unexpectedly. Daniel had joked lightly about his poor attempts at cooking, and Anna, who rarely laughed in public, found herself laughing until she covered her mouth. The sound startled her, but Daniel's amused grin made her laugh again. It was a small moment, yet powerful. The tension that had sat between them since the beginning was gone. Their table was no longer a place for strangers, but for two people who had begun to trust. Anna realized that time had slipped away. The cafe was nearly empty now, only the waiter cleaning at the far counter. She should have felt nervous about staying so long, but she didn't. For Daniel, the evening felt like something rare. He had met many people in his life, people who often tried to impress or gain something from him. Anna was different. She shared pieces of herself without expectation, without knowing anything about him beyond what he chose to reveal. Outside, the rain grew heavier, but inside, warmth surrounded them. Anna's laughter still lingered in Daniel's ears. Neither of them knew where this night would lead, but both knew it had already become something more than just a blind date. The cafe door opened with a soft chime as Anna and Daniel stepped out into the damp night. The rain had ended, leaving the air fresh and cool. Puddles scattered across the street reflected the glow of lamps, and the faint sound of dripping water echoed from rooftops. Daniel held an umbrella, though it was no longer needed. He carried it anyway, a quiet gesture of care. Anna walked beside him, arms folded lightly against the cool air. For a while, neither spoke. The night felt peaceful, and silence was enough. When they reached the sidewalk, Anna expected Daniel to say goodbye, perhaps to walk her toward the bus stop. But instead, he slowed his steps near the curb. A car waited there, sleek and polished, its black surface gleaming under the light. The driver stood nearby, discreet and still. Anna stopped, her breath catching. She turned to Daniel, confusion in her eyes. "Is this your car?" Daniel hesitated before answering. His tone was calm but careful. "Yes," Anna blinked, her heart racing. She had never stood so close to a car like that, let alone seen one waiting for someone she knew. Everything about it spoke of wealth, of a life far removed from her own. "You—" her voice trailed off. She wanted to ask, but struggled for words. Daniel looked at her gently. "I should have told you earlier, but I didn't want it to change how we spoke tonight." The quiet honesty in his words startled her. He wasn't boasting. He wasn't trying to impress. He was only revealing what could no longer be hidden. Anna stared at the car again, then back at him. "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because most people see the car first," Daniel admitted softly. "Then they see me differently. I didn't want that to happen with you." Her chest tightened. She wanted to believe him, yet a flood of thoughts rushed through her. All evening, she had thought of him as someone simple, someone close to her own world. Now she felt distance stretching between them, wide and cold. Daniel seemed to sense her unease. He stepped closer, his voice low and careful. "I am still the same person you were talking to inside. Nothing about that has changed." Anna's lips parted, but no words came. She looked down at her hands, at her plain dress, then back at the car. The contrast was sharp. She felt small in that moment, as if she didn't belong. She swallowed hard. "I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything," Daniel replied gently. "I only wanted you to know the truth before we met again." Her heart stumbled at his last words. He wanted to meet again, Despite the gap she suddenly felt, he wasn't pulling away. The night air grew cooler as Anna stood silent, her mind in conflict. She had enjoyed every moment in the cafe, but now reality pressed hard against her. Daniel did not push. He only waited, his eyes steady, calm, almost vulnerable. For Anna, it was not the car that unsettled her, but the fear of what came with it. Anna's eyes lingered on the car, then shifted back to Daniel. The silence between them felt heavier than the rain-soaked air. She wanted to speak, but her voice failed her. Daniel broke the silence first, his tone calm but careful. "You don't have to be afraid. I am not different from the man you spoke with inside the cafe." Anna shook her head faintly. "But you are. This changes everything." Her words trembled, not out of anger but out of fear. She felt a wall rise inside her, one she hadn't built before stepping outside. Moments ago, she had seen him as someone within reach. Now she felt as though he belonged to another world. Daniel's gaze softened. "Anna, I don't want what I have to stand between us. I never meant to surprise you like this." She looked at him sharply. "Then why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I wanted you to see me, not what surrounds me," he said quietly. Anna pressed her lips together. Her heart hurt, though she couldn't fully explain why. She was not angry at him, only at herself, for feeling small, for feeling unworthy. "You don't understand," she whispered. "You have this life, a life I can't even imagine. And me, I live in a rented room and count every coin. How can we even—" Her voice broke. She didn't finish the sentence. Daniel stepped closer, his hand slightly lifted, but he stopped before touching her. He wanted to give her space. "I understand more than you think. Yes, my life looks different, but that doesn't mean I can't choose who I share it with. Tonight I chose to sit with you, not because of where you work or what you own, but because of who you are." His words reached her, but the fear still pressed against her chest. She lowered her eyes. "People like you don't end up with people like me." "Why not?" His question was firm, but his voice remained gentle. "Who decides that?" Anna hesitated, the weight of her own insecurities holding her down. She had spent her life believing she was ordinary, someone who would never be seen beyond her simplicity. Yet here was Daniel, looking at her as though none of that mattered. She whispered almost to herself, "Because it never happens in real life." Daniel's hand finally touched hers, light, careful, as if asking permission. "Then maybe we can be the exception." Anna's breath caught. The warmth of his touch made her heart tremble. She wanted to believe him, yet the doubts clung tightly. The night around them was still. The driver stood silently by the car, respectful of the moment. The city seemed far away, as though the world had shrunk to just the two of them. Anna looked into Daniel's eyes for the first time since leaving the cafe. She saw no arrogance, no pride, only patience and sincerity. Her chest ached with the battle inside her, but something told her she could trust him. The fear didn't vanish. But alongside it, hope quietly appeared. The next morning carried a different light. The rain was gone, replaced by clear skies that slowly brightened with the rising sun. Anna walked through the park, her steps slow, her mind still tangled with the night before. She had not slept much. Thoughts of Daniel, of his quiet honesty, of the car waiting at the curb had kept her awake. She hadn't known if she should come when he asked to meet again, but something in his voice had been steady, convincing her to say yes. Daniel was already waiting when she arrived. He stood by the park's entrance, dressed simply, just as he had been at the cafe. No car, no driver, no signs of the life that had unsettled her so deeply. Only him. "Good morning," he greeted softly. Anna nodded, her voice low. "Morning." For a while they walked without speaking. The park was calm, the air filled with the scent of wet grass and blooming flowers. Birds sang lightly in the trees. The silence between them felt different now, not heavy, but thoughtful. Finally, Anna spoke. "I couldn't stop thinking last night." "About everything." Daniel looked at her gently. "And what did you decide?" Her hands tightened at her sides. "I don't know if I can fit into your world. I don't know if I'm strong enough for it." Daniel stopped walking, turning to face her. "Then don't think about my world. Think about me. The man you sat with in the cafe. The one who listened. The one who laughed with you." His voice was steady, not pleading but clear. Anna's heart ached at his words. She remembered his patience, his quiet way of making her feel seen. Those moments had felt real, more real than the fear that followed outside the cafe. She lowered her gaze. I'm afraid people will see me as less, that I'll always feel like I don't belong. Daniel reached out and gently took her hand. His touch was warm, grounding. You belong where you are valued. And Anna, I value you. Not what you have, not what you lack, but you. Her throat tightened. She wanted to cry, but the tears didn't fall. She only looked at him, trying to measure the truth in his eyes. What she saw was not pity. It was not charity. It was something steady, something she had never expected. Respect. They began walking again, their hands now joined. The world around them seemed brighter, though it was still morning. Each step felt lighter than the last. Waiting for the next story.